hognos, I kijana, jokal yipkaros.
Welcome to Old Fort Park and our celebration of the 250th anniversary of the city of New Smyrna Beach in Southeast Volusia County.
Whereas the Stroll Through History hashtag Stroll Through History event is a reminder of how far the area has come since it was settled in 1768 by Dr. Andrew Turnbull.
And whereas the New Smyrna Beach Museum of History, in partnership with Southeast Volusia Historic Society and community civic leaders, have planned for a year-long celebration to highlight and celebrate the history of our wonderful community.
And whereas New Smyrna Beach, which has a rich and diverse history, was incorporated in 1887.
Whereas all Americans should honor their debt to the past and their obligations to the future.
We, the County Council of Volusia County, Florida, do hereby proclaim June 16th, 2018 as New Smyrna Beach History Day.
We hereby proclaim the year 2018 to be recognized for the observance of the sesquicentennial of the New Smyrna colony, inviting the citizens of this area to observe this year with the appropriate ceremonies and activities.
Come, my friends. 'Tis not too late to seek a newer world. Push off, and sitting well in order smite the sounding furrows, where my purpose holds to sail beyond the sunset and the bat of all the western stars until I die.
New Smyrna was founded by Andrew Turnbull in 1768. He brought a group of people to start indigo production. We are not necessarily direct descendants, although there are direct descendants of Andrew Turnbull here at the tent. We are some of the representatives of the Turnbull clan, though. We sponsor tents around the nation. Actually, we have associations in Scotland and Australia, New Zealand and America, just to promote the Turnbull name and the Turnbull clan. That was actually
I think I've had several of them. I pulled them out. I mean, I don't have anything that looks like that.
I definitely. This water would prepare. They would beat it with paddles. It's like a 12-hour process. Yeah. Oxidizing it, and then eventually they put the lime, which would pull the dye out, and it would go into the lead vat. And then they would just kind of dry it.
It does look like a higher version. Peanut grass is lower.
Yeah.
It actually moves to Charleston, South Carolina.
Probably true. It's good. Yeah, there you go. We have a Menorcan Culture Society, and we have over in St. Johns County. There's about 20 to 25,000 families that can still trace their heritage back to Menorca and the first Menorcans that came over and came back to St. Augustine. So we're still here.
Donald. And then we learned how to say it in your way. Aren't you glad? Hello, everyone. I said hello to you in one of the oldest languages ever spoken in these lands, the language of the Muskogee people. My mother's family comes from this tribe. We lived originally in Georgia and in Alabama. We were given the nickname by the English, the Creeks, because we lived by the rivers and creeks. We were one of the ancient tribes of the South.
They said that he was well educated and he helped a lot of people in the area. He was able to get land in Oak Hill that nobody else was able to get. He was homesteading from the government. Back in the day, the government used to give you so many acres of land. That land, that's what he did. And it's cosmetic stuff. So I'm going to keep it for another year. That's the old game. I'm going to get one more year.
Instead of 1 day at a time, you're 1 year at a time. Yeah.
And my problem, of course, is running away from what became the 6 cats. And nobody's going to
Yeah.
nobody's going to let me sneak them in.
Yeah, but you're not on the beach side.
Doesn't matter. We do terrible damage.
The Coe family moved here in 1873 for my great-grandfather's health. They settled out west of town with a group of other settlers, and they started the first newspaper here called the Florida Star, 1877. And eventually they moved it in town and ran it just across from the museum, from what I understand. My great-great-grandfather William Coe was the port collector here at the time until his death in 1879, which was, since he was one of the original 4 founding members, they decided to name the town Glen Coe in his honor. And it stayed that way until the town's railroad disappeared and the town kind of withered and all the industry moved to New Smyrna Beach. If you look at that newspaper there, that talks about the earthquake that hit here in 1879. And we were the only newspaper that reported it. So it covers quite a bit. He was an amateur archaeologist, newspaper man, boy, did just about everything. Always had his heart in New Smyrna. He would come, even though he moved away, he would always come back and write for the newspapers and talk to everybody. And he also was known for the book debunking the so-called Spanish mission, which pertains to the sugar mill. At one time it was claimed to be a Spanish mission, and he, of course, knew better.
I'm using this. Well, there's Grandpa right there.
I'm a 3rd generation Florida East Coast Railway employee. My grandfather started off on the construction crew going to the Keys. When that was completed, he swapped over to being a conductor, and he was a conductor for probably 25 years at least, because I have his 25-year pin. My father worked for the railroad for about 5 years. He left the railroad, went to the Cape.
I started on the railroad in 1979 and worked till 2017. The railroad in New Smyrna Beach has always been a very big business. Anybody that ever worked for the railroad here could tell you that if you worked for the railroad in New Smyrna, it was one of the better jobs to have, and at one time it was the best job to have here before the city took over and you could get utilities commission.
Puddles. Puddles in there, man. Y'all use puddles. Just having fun. I'm just playing around in here. Having a good time. Backyard on Ninth Street.
Thanks, guys.
Within the National Seashore, it was created by an act of Congress in 1975. We have three major areas in this particular park. This is the Apollo District, the North District. We have the Eldora Residence, which is on the Historic Register. We have Turtle Mound, which is one of the largest shell middens in the Southeast United States, and that's the Timucua Indians or Timucua people would throw generations of their shellfish shells. In fact, one time the shell mound there was 80 feet tall and was included as a navigational point on the maps of the Spanish, the French, the early European settlers and folks that discovered this area. And then we have Seminole Rest, which is over in Oak Hill. So we have lots of history in Canaveral National Seashore.
all right. There's actually also different types of books too.
Pretty cool.
This is a model of the 1835 lighthouse, which was built specifically at the request of merchants and also plantation owners from New Smyrna. The fellows, people who owned the plantations along the Halifax River, and then some merchants got together, put together a petition and petitioned the government to build a light at the inlet. They chose the south shore of the inlet and began construction in late 1834. It was completed in March of 1835. It was a 45-foot tall tower, built of brick, with several coats of concrete and also whitewash on it. And comes April of 1836, the weakened lighthouse was completely destroyed in, unfortunately, a nor'easter.
Only attached to other permanents, so they will grow on that.
We'll share it with you. We're doing a drawing for a free elementary kids book and a lead drawing for a autographed copy of that one. Yep. Flags and flag coats and pencils. Thanks for stopping by. All right, there you go. We got red, fireworks, flags.
Jane Sheldon was a pioneer woman, and we have very much admired her for her durability here during the mosquito area, the lizard area, and all of that. She lost a son in the Confederate Army. She was the first postmistress of New Smyrna Beach. There was actually a DAR chapter named for her daughter Victoria that was organized before this chapter, and it disbanded, and then a group of women in 1925 decided to form a new group, and in honor of Jane Sheldon, they named it the Jane Sheldon chapter.
And there was a group of Confederate GIs with their, and there's a group of, Union, and then there's a group of Texans, because Texas declared its freedom as a state. So all these different GIs. Here we are. What's your kids going to talk to?
I can get off 3 aim shots every minute, and that's the goal. Is infantry officers to be able to get off 3 aim shots every minute.
Did they all have this site like this?
Yep. The Enfield's at the sites. Yep. Actually, now, as an infantry soldier, I never used that site.
It's warm. Oh yeah.
Maybe they grow them in a lab or something and they're still, but this was just out of the creek during 21. And actually, it worked.
This is the 1851 Colt, Navy Colt pistol, which its use persisted into the 60s.
And what is this legitimate?
Yes, yeah, it's a repro, a reproduction, but it, you know, period accurate.
Nice. As is the most. Oh wow.
I wish I could go back in time and see what it was like. It was kind of like shut on, but at the same time there's other things going on and his business being blown up.
And at number 5, you see on our placard here, it was first in 1945 put into service, and we as the fire department used this up until the mid-70s, and it was in service until the 70s, and then you know, went out of service, and then one of our firefighters from years ago who unfortunately died in the line of duty in a fire, he had the passion to restore an old fire engine, and he found this one in a salvage yard, and they began to restore it, and then was only had to a certain level of completion, which they didn't get fully restored, and then we picked it up here in recent times, and as a department spearheaded by Chief Chris Diamond was able, we've restored it to a much lower capacity, and we use it in parades as much as we can, and for events like this, and so it's just definitely a moment of pride for us.